Hey guys, we're back on the El Camino today. We got some parts in. So we're gonna put some calipers on here. We already did wheel bearings and all that. Showed you that in the last one. So we're gonna do calipers, some brake hoses. So we bought like a, you know, the whole caliper. With the, it came with new pins and everything. So we didn't need like a hardware deal or anything. We got some new pads. So I'm gonna show you the caliper real quick. I'm gonna bring you over to it. So there's our caliper right there on that bench. Here's our caliper. It's a regular GM single piston. And there's that one of our, this is our outside pad. So if you have a bunch of noise in your car, like rattly, and it sounds like it's on the wheel end, you got to kind of watch these. The brake pads are getting so cheap these days that these little tabs ain't bent down tight enough. So if you hook that on there and it's got like a whole bunch of, it'll rattle up. These ones are actually pretty decent, but they'll rattle up and down, and it sounds like a can full of marbles like out at the wheel end. And you don't want that. So if you have to, just take these here and tune them up a little bit, tighten them down so that, or you got to put that anti-squeak glue shit. I don't really like putting that stuff all over everything. But, I mean, it does stop the rattle, but you can also just tighten those down a little bit and it's good to go. So I'm going to bring you guys over there and we're going to throw this caliper on. Alright guys, we got a caliper, it's loaded. Make sure the slide pins slide, like they're not jammed or anything. I do put a little bit of grease on these, and I also put grease on the bolts that go through here, the 2 Allen screws. And I tightened up that thing on the end. We just bent those so it doesn't rattle. And then you just jam the sucker on there, and that's going to be it, man. Then we're going to put these 2 Allen bolts in there. There's our Allen bolt. A little bit of grease on there. Doesn't need a whole ton, just enough. Then we're going to put those in there. We'll put one on the bottom. And tighten those up. And that's that. That's, I mean, pretty simple. Pretty simple stuff. So we got this car running, you've seen that on the last one. And it's been, I've been able to pull it in and out if I have to. And I think I moved it in and out, I don't know, once or twice. And then today it wouldn't start for me. I don't know why. I couldn't figure it out. I'm like, I wonder. So we got it inside, and you'd never guess what I found. So we have a temporary tank. I don't know if I showed you guys that. We have a temporary tank in the back of this thing. And you know what? It didn't have no gas in it. That's why it wouldn't come back in here. So if you put a 2-gallon tank in your car, make sure you put, like, you know, more than a quart in it, because it ain't going to go very far. So, fun fact, tip of the day. Okay. Alright, we're going to tighten these up, and then we're done with this section. We're going to move to, I'm going to move to the back, do a wheel cylinder, and then I'll come up here and we'll fight with this brake hose, which I don't know if you guys can see the brake. Yeah, you can see the brake. We got it clamped off right now. So I'm sure it'll be a fight up there. We're going to go up there and see. Hopefully, we don't want to twist any metal lines off, because they actually look like they're in pretty good shape on this thing. They don't look like they're all bad and beat up. So, yeah, hopefully. My Allen wrench don't want to fit in here. How come? It fits this end, but the other end don't fit. What's going on here? You got birds in that shit or what? What's going on? Tappy tap, I think. Alright guys, I'm going to tighten these up. I got to get a hammer and tap that in there. It doesn't want to quite go in that Allen. But yeah, we'll give them a tap and tighten, and I'll bring you back on the back. Alright guys, we're at the back on the wheel cylinder. There's the backing plate. There's our temporary gas can. Look at that. It's empty. That's why it won't run. Alright, so here we got a tube wrench for a line wrench. Right there. Is it going to zoom? Maybe. Maybe not. Okay, so I never have luck with line wrenches. They always open, they spread open, and you end up rounding the thing off anyway. So I use my jaw vice grips with the round jaw. It's not going to zoom on that. There it is. And I clamp that on the end of the wrench, and then I can try to. You don't always have the room to do this, but it's nice when it works. Then you can kind of turn with the vice grip or the wrench, either one, and see how that broke it. It broke loose. Look at that. Now it's falling off of there. Perfect. But it did turn. Let me see if I can get it back on there. Trying to look through the camera and do this is not working out well for me. There we go. So we're back on. See how it's turning the tube nut? And it doesn't spread the wrench. So it doesn't just round everything off. So that's just, you know, a little trick right there. You can't always use it, but it's nice when it works. Then you can just pull these shit off, and then you take your thing out. So we're going to take that out, and then we're going to take that bolt out, and then that bolt out, and that'll let that wheel cylinder out of there. And then I'll bring you guys to the other side. I'll bring you to the other side now. So I'm going to have to lower this because I wanted to show you guys that. And what I normally do is I just cheat. I'll pull the springs off the top, open the shoes up, and then I'll just sneak that wheel cylinder right out of there. But I'll show you that. Guys, here we are. So I take my plier things here. I'll pull this spring. Right, and then I'll pull this spring. As long as I can get them off, right? My little pliers here are getting pretty worn out these days, but might be almost time for some new ones. Oop. All right, I'll pull those two springs off, and then this one here, this metal rod, you can push down your self-adjuster. Let me zoom you guys out so you can see the self-adjuster. So there's a self-adjuster right on the bottom, down here, where you can't see. Right down here, there's a self-adjuster. So what you do is you pull that away from the that little gear that it's riding on. You pull that out, you can push this down, and that little triangle up there will come loose. And then you can just kind of pull that off too, and just let it sit out, just like that. And then you can kind of just pull a shoe out, and pull this shoe out, right? And then everything is just going to sit there. And we'll get an open end 7 because we already broke that line loose. Once I find the line. There it is. And we'll take that off because we're not twisting it up. That's where you usually have problems on that tube nut. If you can turn it, sometimes it'll break loose from the wheel cylinder, but then it wants to twist the line off because it's rusted to the line. This one here, we got lucky. The car ain't that rusty, like with brake line wise. And so I think we're going to be okay. Hopefully they just keep coming out and we don't have any issues, because we got a whole bunch of these, because I bought all the hoses to do, and that's where you run into problems with these, is changing the hoses. You start twisting those ends off, you're going to have trouble, because then you end up redoing all the lines. If you break them off too many times, most of the time you don't have enough to reflare it anyway, and then you're taking it back to the proportioning valve, and then those never come out easy either, and then before you know it, you're doing all the lines in the whole car. Which is fine. If that's what you have to do, that's what you do. But okay, I think our line is out. We got 2 bolts. Those 2 half-inch bolts in the back. And then we'll be able to sneak this out. That's 1 bolt there. 1 half-inch bolt. Somebody did these already, but they're all chunked up inside. They were leaking. There's our other bolt. And then you just wiggle that wheel cylinder out of there. There's our wheel cylinder. Put that bolt over there, and there's our wheel cylinder out of there. See how they were all wet in there. But all right, I'll bring you guys back. All right, guys, here's our new wheel cylinder. So just, we put our little things in there. We'll sneak this right in there. Right in there, like so. This one wants to be a pain in the ass. Okay, there we go. Now we're getting somewhere. Maybe we're getting somewhere. I do take the bleeder screw out of these so I don't have to fight with the bleeder screw, because it kind of gets in the way of the line screwing in. And I'll try to start the line first, if I can. Because if you can wiggle this around a little bit, it really helps. Especially like if the line is, doesn't spin that easy on the tube nut or whatever. And you can wiggle it if it's not quite exactly straight. You can get it at least started, instead of trying to start it with a wrench and then cross-threading it. Because you don't want to do that either. Okay, there's our line started, and then we'll put our bolt in, one of our bolts in. Yeah, there's our bolt. And I'm going to find the other bolt, and here's the other bolt right here. Start that one. And then I'll get our little things in, and we'll put our springs on. Okay, guys, we're going to put our bleeder screw back in before we lose it. We got our line on, we got those 2 nuts tight. We're all set back there. We're going to put this on. Alright, so that's going to go back in. Then this little thing's going to go back underneath there. Then we're going to put the shoe on, back on. It'll line up this little thing that goes in the shoe. Right, so there's that shoe. And then you're going to do this spreader bar here. It's got to go back in also. So make sure you don't miss this bar. Okay, and that bar sits in there just like that. And then that goes right in there, just like so. Now your shoes are back together. Everything's back the way it should be. Grab your thing again here, and then just go to the bottom and pull that little gear out. Pull it away from the gear. And then that'll go where it's supposed to. Alright, and that's that. And then you have a spring, and you have a spring. We're going to put those two springs on next. I'm going to drop wrenches on the floor. Okay. You guys might be in my way here. You are. I'm going to back you guys up for a minute. Okay. There's the spring. There's that spring on there. And then we're going to do this spring here. Right there. Just like that. And that's that. When you're doing these, I'll show you. There's a wheel down here. This is that style wheel I was talking about. Make sure this thing turns. Like this one doesn't turn. So we're going to end up pulling this gear out. Make sure and this is all freed up. So, you don't want that stuck. That's your brake adjustment. So we'll pull this wheel out of here and we'll make sure that's spinning freely. Which I think, yeah, it's definitely stuck right now. So we're gonna we'll tune that up too. But right now, so this is it for the back. We're done. We're gonna do a hose in the back, in the center of the axle, the rubber hose. And now we're gonna move to the front and do the hose up there. And then we're just gonna do the other side. I probably won't show you guys the other side because it's the same thing as this side. So that's kind of where we're at. There it is. We'll go to the front. Okay guys, we're on Struggle Street on this one. So I'm gonna show you what's up. So this has a clip. This is the clip right here. This holds the metal line in. It goes right here on the rubber line, and that holds it to this L bracket. With that L bracket in the way, you can't do anything really, because you get your line wrench on there, and this is already pre-rounded off. So we pull it out, and then you have your tube nut out here, and I put my wrench on there, and then I clamped it with the vice grip. So hopefully that don't keep it's trying to strip on us. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a wrench on here. Well, once I get the right size wrench, we're going to put a wrench on here. Let me get a wrench. Hold on. Okay, guys, we got some wrenches. It's not 9/16, and it's not 5/8. I don't know what size this thing is. It's like non-size. I tried metrics on here, and the 5/8 is too big. 9/16 is too small. I don't have a 16 millimeter whatever. 15 don't fit. I don't have all right, we're going to get a universal wrench for this thing now. We're going to put another vice grip on that thing. Hopefully that stupid thing's going to come off of there. All right, guys, here we go. We got another vice grip here. We sprayed it with some WD. Darwin would be happy. We'll spray it again because we heated it with the torch. Darwin likes that stuff. I do too, but I don't think it's going to penetrate anything, but we're going to do it anyway. We're going to put our vice grips on here. And then hopefully this stupid rubber line is going to come off of there and not mess us. We don't want to fucking kill that tube nut. And I don't want to twist the line off either. So I just want to break the thing loose if we can. Doesn't want to go, guys. It does not want to go at all. Well, something slipped off. What happened? We're slipping. We are slipping. What are we slipping on? My vice grips came off. All right, let me get rid of these vice grips for a minute. Oh boy, Struggle Street now. Now we're on Struggle Street. I'm gonna bend that line back down and pull this thing back out. Reset our wrench on here. See how that tube nut's not great? It's not awesome anymore. Somebody pre-rounded us off. I hate pre-rounded stuff. Goes right there though. We can't just pull on that because it's just going to open up and strip that thing. We're going to pull this back out. Try to get our vice grips in a better situation. We're going to end up bending this line a little bit more than I want, but that's okay. As long as we don't hurt the line, I don't really care. I'm really trying not to do all new brake lines in here. If we have to, we will, but I try not to. Get that back on our tube nut. Get the vice grips back on that wrench. I wish this thing was a normal size. It would be easy. Alright, so now hopefully our wrench ain't gonna round nothing off. We're gonna go back with these vice grips. And hopefully we're gonna just turn this thing off. I think we're stripping the tube nut. I don't think we're loosening anything. Alright guys, I gotta get you out of the way. I'm gonna fight with this and swear at it some, and I'll bring you back. Okay guys, we gave up on the tube, we gave up on the line wrench because we had to go straight to vice grips because somebody, that was pre-rounded, the back one. So now we're gonna try to, ooh, hey, it's moving. We're gonna give that a little wiggle. Oh, we got it. We got it. We got it. Now, can we free the tube nut on the line? Normally when you loosen this piece of crap, it'll loosen the tube nut on the line and we won't twist the line off. So we ain't out of the woods yet, but I think we got it, and hopefully we can do that tube nut. It has a couple good corners left. I know it was pre-rounded and then I just rounded it some more. I know that thing was slipping on there. I had my vice grips on there and it was still slipping. So we're gonna see. Oh, man. Not a happy camper. Not a happy camper, this line. It's not a happy camper. But I don't want to start spinning the tube nut yet until I can see that thing and see if we're twisting the line off or whatever. I don't want to just break stuff. I don't like breaking stuff. If we have to get violent, then we get violent. No problem. I'm okay with it. But if we don't have to, then we won't. And I hate vice grips, but they seem to work on brake lines really well because you buy the stupid fucking spanner wrench thing and the tube nut wrenches and all that bullshit and they still round off. So that's why I like my little vice grip trick when it works. Didn't work that time, knocking you guys over. Can you guys even see what I'm doing? Yeah, okay. Got a bright ass light behind me. I don't know. Hopefully that's not blinding you guys. But we're going to replace this hose. We're going to fix that tube nut up. Hopefully we can tighten on it without having all kinds of problems with it. This is turning right to the last thread tight. I don't like that. There it is. Okay, there goes that hose. The hose is gone. Now, is this loose? Oh, it is. It's loose on there. I like that. I really, really, really like that. See how it's spinning on? Now, a lot of times this will seize on the thing, and then when you're trying to break the tube nut loose, it just twists the line, and then you're screwed anyway. So I'm going to get something, and we're going to clean this thing up. See how we got, yeah, see, it's mostly round now. That's a problem. I'm going to see how that looks if we touch it up a little bit. Well, we're going to tighten with vice grips, but I don't really like, we'll see how bad the wrench fits, a regular wrench. See if we can get a regular wrench on there. Or is it, you know, no, it does fit kind of all right. I don't know why people, I don't know, it sucks. That's the one I just rolled, I think. As long as we can get it tight, I'm okay with it. We'll clean up the shit so the wrench fits. But that's going to be a problem. Hopefully it's not. It's just, we can put the rubber line on now, stick it back in there. Let me get the line. Okay guys, here's our old line. You can see where it's all cracked up. See all the cracks in that? I don't know if you guys can see that, but so that's a bad line. So we got a shit line there. We knew that. Here's our new line, right here. And these are indexed. They have flats on them, or sometimes there's a key. This one has a key. So make sure it goes in there the correct way. I gotta move you guys around a little bit. Yeah, so I'm not fighting with you. And it'll have a, sometimes there's a taper on the end. See how this is like a ramp? That's because it goes against the caliper. Make sure your bleeder screws are up on your caliper too. I don't know if you can put these ones on backwards, but like some cars you can put them on backwards and the bleeder will be pointing down, and then, you know, you did it wrong because it's down. But then you have this bolt, 2 washes. 2 copper washes. It gets one on each side of the banjo. That's a banjo bolt. So I put that on there, and then I'll get this situated kind of where I want it, because I don't want the line in a bind or have a weird twist. I don't want anything weird with these lines. You want them the way they're supposed to be. Out of everything I lost, I think I missed my eyesight the most. 'Cause I can't see shit. I just said that to you guys, and here I am trying to put it on backwards. There's an angle to these. Make sure you got the angle going the right way. Otherwise, it'll bite you. See how that's got an angle in it? That goes against the caliper. I was just trying to put it on there backwards, wondering why I can't start it. Mainly because I can't see, but still. Nonetheless. It's backwards. And it fits in a groove, and it all fits in there nicey nice. So when it's in the right spot, it's mint. So I put it in there, and then I'll pull this wheel straight. I'll turn this wheel straight, just to make sure we're straight. So there we go. And then this should have the flats or the key, either the key in the bottom or the flats on each side. So I will just make sure this starts no problem, because it was turning tight to the last thread. So if we have to wire brush or clean anything, now's the time. And it's starting no problem. And then we're going to push this back and bend it to where it was before. I don't like bending the old lines, but see how that's like right where it's supposed to be? I'm going to put that there. And then I'm going to put my, I'm actually going to tighten this one first. I'm going to pull this back out and tighten it. And then we'll put our clip in there, because I don't trust that line. Well, not that I don't trust it, I don't like it. I just don't like it. I don't know if we have a normal size yet. Is this normal? No. Is it 5/8? I hope it is. Well, how come this one's 5/8 and the other one wasn't? See, that normal wrench fits this one. I don't know if the other one was rusted down to like a size that doesn't exist or what. We get our line wrench on there and we'll tighten that sucker right up. But you don't want to let it turn, because it needs to fit in that key or those flats. It has an index to it, and you can't mess that index all up. It has to fit the way it goes. But the tube knot is working. I don't like it. There's a couple spots where it doesn't quite fit, you know, the way I'd like it to, but now the thing just wants to fight. You're probably looking at my elbow, so we'll see about that. See how much of this I'm going to be chopping out of it, because you're looking at nothing. Because my elbow's in the way. My big fat arm is in the way, or whatever. Alright, here we go. We're getting tight. We're getting tight. We're getting tight. No, don't turn. Okay, there we go. Alright, one more. I think we got it. I think we got it on this one. One more. Keep turning on this. It's going to keep turning forever. Forever and ever. It's trying to put us in a bad spot, so we can't get on that tube knot. That's what it's doing. Okay. See how it doesn't want to let our wrench go? It's because it's half rolled over. Alright, then we're going to stick this back in there. Take the pressure off that line. Put that back where it goes. And then this is our clip. It's going to go in the back here. Take engineering. Give it a little tap-a-roo. There it is. There's our line installed. There it is, guys. All set. Just like that. We're going to do the same on the other side. I won't bring you guys for that, but that's what we're going to do. Hopefully it's not a struggle. This one wasn't too bad. So I'm happy with that. The line's good. We'll get that banjo bolt tightened, and then we'll go from there. All right, guys. I'll bring you back. See ya. Okay, guys, this is what happens when the tube nut, whoops, I just dropped it. Anyway, the tube nut was screwed in here into the wheel cylinder, right there, right in there. And then it was seized onto the line right here. So once it's seized on the line, we broke it loose, and I kept trying to save it, but it ended up twisting the line off. We'll find that piece we just dropped on the floor, and I'll show you guys what I mean. There's the tube nut with the line. It's just too seized in there. So we're making one line. This one here goes across the rear end, goes into the T up there on the top of the pumpkin, rear axle. So that's what we're going to do next. But yeah, so we're going to do this wheel cylinder right here, and then we'll get this up a little bit further, and then we'll do a line. I'll show you guys the line, I guess. Us making a new line. All right, I'll bring it back. All right, guys, here we look. We got a new line in. Got a new tube nut on that end. All new line bent up. It looks all right. It doesn't look as good as factory, but we're okay. And we're going to move on from there. Now we've got 4 corners with the brakes done. We're going to do a master cylinder tomorrow. And one more brake hose. We'll get the fronts all together. Everything's done up there. And then we'll get moving on it. All right, guys, we're going to do this master cylinder. So we're going to get Darwin approved on this one. Some WD right here. We put the wrench on them, and they are tight, tight, tight. So we did spray them once already. We'll spray them again. We did Darwin approved. And I don't know if that impact gun's going to take them because when you use a lot of suspension, it kind of kills the shit. But we're going to see. We're going to start to zip these off again. And we did do the bench bleeding and all that, which is a huge pain in the ass now because they don't give you the little tubes anymore. They don't give you little plastic tubes, they give you these plugs instead. And the plugs don't work as well as the old school. Those 2 little blue things that screwed in there, and then they had a little hose and one, you know what I mean? They screwed in where the lines went, and they had little hoses that went over the top. We got away from that, probably because it's too expensive, because that's an extra 3 cents. We got away from that for some reason, and now they just give you a cap that's screwed in here. And I've been having trouble like bench bleeding these, mainly the rear one. I just had trouble on that white Grand Prix. My Pontiac Le Mans was kind of a bitch. So you can't get the rear to bench bleed. It stays stuck full of air, that cylinder does. The front one seems to bubble out okay, but the front one's not so much. I mean, the front one bubbles out okay, the rear one not so much. But we're going to slam the master cylinder on here next, and then we'll probably just open everything up and let it gravity overnight. You know, hopefully don't gravity the thing dry. It shouldn't. I put the caps on tight so it pulls the shit down inside. The plastic stuff, the rubber, it should stop it from completely draining. And then we'll check it all out in the morning and see how we did. Then when Darwin's over here next, we'll actually bleed the system. I need 2 people for that. And maybe this thing will have brakes, huh? We gotta get in touch with them. Gotta bring some bumpers for us and whatever else we're gonna do. We gotta get on them. Get some stuff over here for us. This is what happens when you got nothing to do at 2 in the morning and you can't sleep. You end up out, you know, working on stuff. It's all good. Nothing wrong with it. Got our new master. Oh, that's kind of ugly looking, isn't it? A little bit. Not too bad. Not too bad. WD-40's making a mess here. Putting rust all over the place. Alright, there's our master cylinder. Throw these nuts on there loose. I like to start the lines before this thing's bolted tight, just in case you have to wiggle it around. There it goes. Starting the dripping already. Come on, get in there. There we go. All right, there's one. There's one. We're gonna leave these loose. Not gonna tighten them yet. Until we got a good drip going on up here. And then I'll tighten them, and then we'll leave everything else open overnight. And we'll let the whole thing just drip. I don't want to, yeah. We want them dripping. We want them dripping. Get out of there. It's trying to eat my wrench. Everything's trying to eat my wrench. Alright, here's that one. Is that one going to start going? Doesn't look like it's going. That front one's starting to drip. Good. Get on there. You don't want to turn. This one wants to fight. It always wants. It always wants. It wants to be a pain in the ass. It's going to be this one. Alright, there we go. We got it. No, we don't got it. Alright. Why do you want to fight us? You're not in the right spot or what? What did we get you? You're just not cooperating now tonight. We got you that time. Yes, we did. All right, guys, we got it that time. So now I'm going to snug that thing up. We'll give this thing a little snug. If I can. You have to look at my back for a minute. Yeah, buddy. And yeah, buddy. Yep. Okay, master's on. We're going to let these start to drip. Make sure we're loose enough and tight enough to make it go so we want it to go. We want to see how that one's dripping. That's what we want. I might pop this cover off for a second. See if it'll grow any faster. Because as it drips, it'll cause a vacuum in here because it's sealed. But I don't know. Let's see. I like the drip out of the front one though. I just wish we had one coming out of the back. Probably because it's full of air still because you can't ventilate shit. Alright, and that's loose. Alright guys, we're going to leave it at that for now. Like, share, subscribe. Catch you on the next one. See ya.